SunPower, Titan Solar, Pink Energy, SolarWorks. These are just a few of the names from a very long list of solar companies that no longer exist in the world today. Hell, you might have even gotten installed by one of these guys, but they're gone now. But why is that? I mean, look at this. Over 200 companies in the span of 2 years are now either bankrupt or out of business. With the way that this is going, you would think it's cool to get bankrupt. But wait, let's backtrack a minute. Why do I, Chugavelli, even care? Like, what would compel me to even make this video? Well, I have solar, and I was installed by SunPower. Yes, I am one of millions of Americans left behind by the solar giant. We got solar from SunPower over 7 years ago, and I'll be detailing my experience since soon, so you better subscribe so that you don't miss out. But yeah, in August of 2024, I got this letter saying SunPower was out of business. The letter said, sorry, SunPower is gone. You'll still get electricity, but we can't honor all of the warranties that we said that we would. And I was like, what? I mean, to be honest, I wasn't even mad. It just left me wondering, why are solar companies going bankrupt? Solar companies have 4 main concerns that can quickly become problems. First being customer acquisition. Hey, do you want candy? Oh, well, of course I do. Thanks. Would you also like a car? Hey, yeah, I'll take a car. I was looking for one anyway. Just let me know the price and we'll see if it's right. Okay, awesome. Great. And would you like solar? Solar? The hell's that? It's a new way of getting electricity for your home instead of depending on the grid. Well, why wouldn't I want to depend on the grid? That's what gets me electricity now anyway. And it's been around for like 100 years, right? So, oh, well, you know, it's all about electrical independency and then, you know, saving some money. And also you want to make sure the planet is green. And you see how much harder it is to get someone interested in solar, let alone buying it. A lot of people don't know anything about solar. And many of those who do aren't sold on it yet. Solar is still new. In fact, residential solar didn't really start getting traction until the 2010s. And solar just doesn't have that wow factor that cars or cell phones do. So you really have to explain solar to a potential customer, which could be very boring for them, which definitely doesn't help with customer acquisition. And while solar is a very fast growing industry, some still think that solar is too good to be true and that it's not really going to change anything. And then there are others who like that the grid handles all their electricity for them, which I can kind of understand because solar is a more hands-on process, but that's a pretty lazy argument, especially when countless studies and personal accounts are showing that people are saving tens of thousands of dollars after going solar. And they'll tell you it wasn't even a hassle. Now, I will say those are the people who got solar correctly. There are a lot of people who got solar incorrectly and now feel like solar is a scam or is just outright bad for the future. So solar having a bad rep definitely doesn't help solar companies in acquiring new customers. So having to explain the usefulness of solar and having to overcome the negativity that your potential customer is hearing from the public takes a lot of time, and for these larger solar companies, money. And if a solar company isn't good at consistently getting new customers, well, bankruptcy, especially when big financial mistakes are made, which brings me to number 2, debt and bad management. Solar companies, especially large ones, are usually taking on debt in order to fund a project, so they need to complete the project in order to get paid, which is not an uncommon practice. It's just about how it gets handled. See, when your business model relies on you getting funding before the job is done, it's very easy for you to start feeling like you just made money when you actually didn't. So let's say you're a solar company and you just got a customer who wants solar, and that solar project is going to cost $25,000. So you charge them $35,000 so that you can make a nice profit and also have some wiggle room in case anything goes wrong. Now, you could have that homeowner pay cash, which would be great if Americans had $35,000 to spend, which they usually don't, so they'll have to finance it. In fact, solar only really became popular because the cost of a monthly solar payment can be lower and oftentimes is a lot lower than the cost of your electric bill. So what solar companies normally do is that they see if the homeowner can qualify for a solar loan or lease. If they qualify, then the financier loans the solar company money to get the work done. In this case, the money would be about $35,000. Let's say the homeowner gets approved and the financier loans the solar company the $35,000 to get the job done. Now, a good solar company will use the money to prepare for work and only spend what's necessary, but solar companies with bad management tend to treat this money as if they got paid, as if there's no possible way that this customer, this homeowner, might back out of the deal. But that's not smart because anything can still happen. See, if this customer backs out, the solar company still has to pay back that $35,000 back to the lender. See, when the homeowner applied for the loan, it was under the agreement that when the solar panels are installed, then the responsibility of the loan will become the homeowner. Until then,
The responsibility of the loan is the solar companies. And solar companies with bad management, or even worse, bad accounting departments, have been known to take this money and label it as income before the job is even done. And if the homeowner backs out of the deal, guess what the solar company has to do? Work as fast and as hard as possible to get the next customer, or scramble all types of places to get the money to pay back the loan, or pull out lint from their pocket and say, hey, I'm sorry, but we spent it, which is never a good answer, and then bankruptcy. And while we're talking about bad management, it's good to also bring up warranties, as this is another overlooked part of many larger solar companies' finances. See, if a solar company is offering a warranty, they're literally saying that years down the line, they'll come back and fix whatever problem you're having with your solar system free of charge. Now, this is great for the homeowner, but can get very expensive for the company. So when a solar company doesn't factor in future expenses like these, this is another fast track to financial damnation. And it's crazy how often this happens in the industry. A good solar company is one that's patient and not greedy.
But hold on, it's not always the company's fault. This brings me to my third reason. Policy changes. See, solar thrives in markets where the benefits of solar can be quickly realized. Like I said earlier, solar only really became popular because it's a cheaper alternative to the grid and the utility company. But that's not the only reason solar became popular. America as a whole wants to go solar. Doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, Republican, or Democrat, people all across this country is pro-solar. So states have implemented policies to heavily incentivize homeowners to go solar. For example, in New York City, you get a lot of perks for going solar. If you go solar in New York City, you'll get 30% of the price of your system back as a federal tax credit. You'll get 25% of the system up to $5,000 back as a state tax credit, and your property taxes are reduced by 30% of the price of your system over the next 4 years. So if your solar system was $50,000, you'd get $15,000 back from the federal, $5,000 back from the state, and your property taxes would be lowered by $3,750 each year for the next 4 years. So assuming you're able to claim everything in your first year of solar, you would have gotten back $23,750. And this is not even including the savings that you'd get from switching from a high utility bill to a lower solar monthly bill. And since most solar financing is done over a period of 25 years, let's see what your monthly payment would be on the remaining amount of the system. So we have $50,000 minus $27,350, that equals $26,250. Now we do $26,250 divided by 300. Now we get 300 because there's 12 months in a year, right? And you have a monthly payment, so that means you're paying 12 times in a year. Then we're doing this for 25 years, so 12 times 25 gives you 300. So we're doing $26,250 divided by 300 gives you $87.50 as your monthly bill, which depending on where you live may still sound like a pretty high bill, but if you know anything about New York City, you know that place is expensive. The average electric bill in New York City is between $190 and $305. Come on now. So yeah, people in New York are going solar, and that's great for solar companies in New York City, but what if next year policies change and they took away these incentives and you were a solar company that only operated in New York City? Well, you'd be screwed. In fact, we saw this happen in Nevada when they changed their net metering policies back in 2023, effectively making solar significantly less cost effective than in previous years. And finally, we have number 4, federal rates. As I'm sure you know, federal rates continue to rise and rise and rise. So that means these loans that solar companies have to take out are getting more and more expensive, which drives up the cost of solar, making solar less and less attractive. I'd love to tell you that people are going solar because they care about the planet, but that's just not the truth. Change only happens when change is affordable. So what have solar companies started doing to get your business? Well, they started to undercut their competition to seem like the better, cheaper option. And while this may sound good, it's a very dangerous game for any company to charge less than what they need to charge to get the job done correctly. As a company, practicing this type of business tactic can easily land you in a position that was much worse than you ever expected. And if that happens, just say it with me now. You're gonna be bankrupt. Oh, you're gonna be bankrupt. Come on, you're gonna be bankrupt. And those, ladies and gentlemen, are the 4 pillars for why solar companies are going bankrupt. If there's anything I forgot to mention, please comment it down below. I'd love to learn more. But we're not done yet. We have one more question. What happens next? Now, I know we just spoke a lot about the complications with solar, but I'm here to tell you, solar ain't going nowhere. Almost everything we do and use now runs on electricity. And people want to save money on their electric bill, and becoming electrically independent is an incredible and realistic possibility. And though many solar companies have gone, new solar companies will rise up and take the place of old ones, and even soon we'll have solar brands. Well, actually there's Elon's Tesla Solar, so I mean, maybe that's probably the closest thing to what I'm talking about, but I don't see Tesla being in the solar game for much longer. In fact, that's actually worth a whole nother video. Man, this video is giving me a lot more video ideas. Like the video and comment below what type of other video ideas you'd like to see. I'd be happy to make them. But yeah, what I see happening in the future are more vertically integrated solar companies, meaning that everything that they do is in-house. It's all one company. They don't subcontract the roof work or subcontract the panel acquisition or it's all under one company. And these companies don't necessarily care to become nationwide behemoths like what we've been seeing over the last couple decades. Solar just isn't cheap enough yet to be running all across the United States of America servicing systems. So solar companies that service their area very well is likely to be the norm in the foreseeable future. In fact, this is already the case in Europe and most other places in the world. So America might be late, but we'll catch up. We always do. Oh, and if you're thinking about going solar but don't want to get scammed doing it, hey, check out this video. I go over everything you need to watch out for so that you don't get scammed when going solar. Thanks for watching the video. Have a good one.